Riley. Bear with.
It is 7 o'clock and I will call the meeting to order. We're going to dispense with the minutes as we're going to deal with that on Monday night's meeting, next Monday night's meeting.
Tammy's probably here for public comment.
And right now we'll move to public comments. I guess that's what you're here for.
Is that me? Yes.
It's all you.
Thank you. My name is Tammy Riley. I'm the Executive Director of GNAT TV. I am here tonight to discuss with you our request that we sent in and talk a little bit about where GNAT is at in terms of our municipal services. For those of you that don't know, GNAT is a 501c3 nonprofit that was founded in 1995 by community members. And our mission is to connect the community and empower people through our government access, education, and to promote local voices. We serve 11 towns in the North Shore and the mountain towns. And we've been providing government meeting coverage for Arlington since about 2015. And so I sent, we have done a review of all of the government coverage that we provide to towns and sent letters to each of the towns outlining the work that we do, the number of meetings we covered, and the approximate cost. We've been receiving an appropriation of about $2,000 from most of the towns for many years now. In our fiscal year last year, we covered 38 government meetings. We also covered, which is valued at $6,346. We also covered 36 community stories, which include local event coverage, news project, graduation coverage, that kind of thing, with a value of about $10,000. So that's not part of the discussion tonight, but I think it's important for people to know that we do cover a lot of, we do a lot of community work in Arlington, and Arlington is one of our most engaged towns that we work with, which is pretty exciting. So most of the towns have moved our appropriation into their budgets, and we're moving toward a collaborative discussion framework or business model for the work that we do. Given our funding from cable is declining based on people canceling their cable. So we're looking at, as an organization, a new business model into the future, looking at all the services we offer the communities, figuring out how much everything costs, what people really want and need from us. And so I'm here tonight just to go over the letter that I sent you, have a collaborative discussion about your wants and needs, and then review our request for an increase in funding. The fair strategy that we are taking with all our towns is, here's what it costs, here's the increase from that $2,000. We will cover half from our operating budget, and we're asking the towns to cover half. We didn't want to come and say, okay, you've been giving us $2,000, now we need almost $7,000 this year, so we thought, why don't we split it, we can work it out. So that's really what I'm here for tonight, is to talk about the services, to see what questions you have, and just go from there.
Okay. Do you want to just review the letter?
They do have the letter, I did forward them the
Yeah.
letter, but I don't know that people have it right now.
The
I
public
can
may
make
not.
copies.
Would you
So-
like me to read it?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Just
Sure.
read it into the record and then.
Sure, that'd be great. So it was sent on December 10th, and it says, to the Arlington Select Board, we want to begin by expressing our gratitude for the past support and cooperation from the town of Arlington. As a dedicated provider of community media, we've been honored to capture and showcase Arlington voices and the spirit through our various programs and coverage. Residents across the town of Arlington rely on open, accessible coverage of local government meetings to stay informed about the decisions shaping their community. GNAT TV is proud to partner with the town to ensure transparency by keeping these conversations visible and accessible to everyone. GNAT TV distributes your public meetings and feature content across platforms including gnattv.org, YouTube, Apple TV, Roku, Fire TV, and Comcast Cable. We expand access so residents can engage meetings on the devices and platforms that they use most. All meetings are also preserved in GNAT TV's permanent public archive. safeguarding full ongoing access for accountability research and future reference. It is our understanding that recent recommendations from VLCT suggest the organization providing direct service to towns be added to the budget as a line item. Given the update, we see an important opportunity for a new partnership model providing real-time, transparent government access to the citizens of Arlington. We respectfully propose that GNET TV's appropriation request outlined below be added to the town budget as a line item. Although we have historically received broad-based voter support for our request on town meeting day, we believe that adding the funding within the town budget in cooperation with the select board is the best process to support government meeting coverage on which the citizens of Arlington rely on. In recent years, several towns where we provide services, Dorset, Sunderland, Windhall, Manchester, and most recently Londonderry, have acknowledged the value of our direct services to its citizens and have recognized the effectiveness of incorporating our videos into their communication strategy. Consequently, they've established a budget line item for our annual appropriation. This arrangement has proven beneficial for both parties. Almost done. It's a very long letter.
That's
But
fine.
there was a lot to communicate. Additionally, we want to make you aware that the long-standing funding model that sustains these essential community communication services is changing as more households move from cable to streaming. The federal cable franchise fees that historically supported community media are declining. GNET TV experienced a 9% revenue decline last year, an impactful reduction for a modest budget, and further decreases are expected. To sustain our services and guarantee ongoing civic access, we're evolving our funding model to include advocacy, fee-for-service partnerships, philanthropy, and continued municipal support. Your partnership is vital to GNET TV's ability to continue providing these essential services. After reviewing the production costs associated with the coverage of Arlington's public meetings, GNET TV respectfully requests that $4,173 be included in the upcoming town budget to support the continued filming, multi-platform streaming, distribution, and archiving. This amount is only a portion of the actual cost of providing the services, with GNET TV absorbing the remaining expense to maintain the consistent access for the community. Additional details about this request, the cost of services, and our direct support to the town of Arlington are below. GNET TV is committed to providing these essential services as efficiently as possible, and the amount requested reflects a responsible and sustainable cost for the community's media needs. This investment sustains civic transparency and ensures that every resident can stay connected to their local government. We appreciate your consideration of the request, and we welcome the opportunity to discuss further how GNET TV can continue to be a valuable communication partner to Arlington. Thank you for your continued partnership and dedication to open, transparent local governments. Happy to provide any additional information that you may need.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any thoughts, board members? Any questions? I know Glenn is not here, but.
Glenn's not here. I'll abstain because I am on the board at GNET.
Yes,
I will just comment that, I think that it would be really important if we could ask any questions that we have, the board could ask any questions you have for Tammy while she's here, but the board does not have to make a decision about that
Tonight.
And so if we have more
We'll
questions.
take it up
we
on
can
Monday
discuss.
night's meeting.
We're not finalizing the budget until January, but if we're not gonna do this, we need to know, because you have to
Soon
do the
enough.
petitions to get on the ballot, so,
Right.
and I will just say that from the perspective of my history with the town government, we have always strongly chosen to put any kind of request for donations in the appropriation section that the voters vote on, and have property tax revenues that we allocate solely going to town functions. So we have never done what you're proposing, to my knowledge. So I understand the reasons for this proposal, but it would be a really big change for how the town addresses those questions. So I think the board should be aware of that and what kind of a precedent it might set in terms of going forward.
we've had a long-standing policy that kind of mimicked Manchester's, where any entity that was already on the appropriations, they could ask for the same amount without any change, just provide their financials, we put it on the ballot. Any increase or any new would have to petition, and I forget what, it was like 110 signatures or something. for a change or a add. And the reason we did that was to just have some control over the outside appropriations and make sure, because people were starting to think that the outside appropriations were us sanctioning them. And we didn't in any way want to give people that impression. So we said, these are the ones that have met our thresholds and accountability requirements, but it's up to you guys, the voters. And so I was actually one of the early supporters of the GNET on this board, and my reasoning was that while people can't participate on video, they can at least keep up with what's going on. And so I was very strongly, there was a lot of resistance to getting this board to do that, but when I made it that argument that way, because one of the big complaints was nobody ever shows up to the meetings and then they complain because they don't know what's going on. I said, well, you got to change that, and this is one way you can do it. What has changed recently, along with what you're saying, the streaming and all that stuff, is the COVID forced us to modernize to Zoom, and they can actually participate from their living room in their underwear if they so choose. So, I'm not sure where I stand on this, but I know that Zoom is better than the original video that is played a few days later or a week later, whatever, because we do have participants in meetings. We have presenters from government agencies or Otter Creek engineering firms or different places with specific information. They can just come right into the meeting and join us. So,
And it's important to note that not only do we have the Zoom, but we have the video, which we can post to our own YouTube channel.
sure.
So it's not that GNAT doesn't do way more than we ever do
Yeah.
and provide tremendous access for people. We actually have Zoom during the meetings for access, and then we can post our video.
The recorded.
Right, so
Zoom,
it's not that, when it first started out, GNAT was the only video happening. 'Cause we
Only
weren't doing
in town.
any of this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Tammy, what did you say you thought the total cost for Arlington was? You're requesting
So-
4173.
Yeah, the total cost is on the, I attached like a spreadsheet below. I will say,
I think it was like 16.
it's 6346 is the cost. And what we did was we took each town's meetings by the actual amount of time, because it's different. And so we took the meeting and then we took the average meeting, the number of hours for average meeting, and then divided that by the hourly, rather than just saying like every meeting costs $150. We really wanted to drill down on,
And does this
On each
include the
town.
school meetings?
it does.
Okay, so the town would be paying for the school transparency too?
It does, and we could, that could be an adjustment, you know, if there's a different body that needs to go to. But I think it's important that the difference between us and I think other social service organizations that we're providing is direct service. So I wanted to point that out. But it's actually an average of your meeting time. And so somebody at another town, I think it was Manchester, said, well, okay, if you make your meetings shorter, it'll cost us less. So that's how we did the math, just so you guys, full transparency, that's how we did the math. We took the average meeting time and then divided it, and that's how we came up with the 38 meetings at 6346. And the other thing, we have a representative, the Vermont Access Network is a statewide association of the community media centers, and we are working closely with the Secretary of State's office. We have a member of our organization on a working group for open meeting law implementation, because I know that's been a little bit of a tricky thing for towns, and so they're coming out with a report soon on where we stand as a state, because not every town has a community media center, and how do we get those covered? And so I think what we're gonna see over the next 5 years is a big change in terms of what's expected, the hybrid meeting, the archiving, all that kind of stuff. It's all changing because of the digital technology, so just like everything else, we're in a state of flux. But that's how we
Big
came up
time.
with the number, the 6346, and then the $10,000, you know, over $10,000 in community coverage, and I think that's important for people to know that we do a lot for Arlington. And this process was really good for us. We hadn't done it in a couple of years to see what are we doing in each town, so we know where our resources are going, and we know that we're treating all of our towns in our service area equitably, and how do we provide the content in all towns. So it was a good process. But the overarching thing is that things are changing for us, our business model is changing, cable is changing, and that's really historically been our revenue, and so we're having to create a new business model. So we're going to all the towns saying, this is what we do, this is what we provide, how do we want to work together, how do we want to engage, what services can we provide to you in terms of media and coverage.
I think the one thing, for me, and I'm on the board at GNAT, but I'm also have a fiduciary responsibility to the taxpayers of Arlington. And the one thing that I do see, if we were to bring GNAT onto the budget, they're really then treated as a vendor for the town of Arlington at that point. So we can go through commercials and contracts, and we can set expectations and have somewhat of control around that contractually.
That's a good point, because I was wondering whether it would be thought of as a donation, which is very iffy, or paying for services rendered.
I think it would, in my opinion, on the select board, that it would be, I would treat it as a vendor and be paid for service. It may be prepaid for services based on a set number of, we can count up how many meetings we're gonna have, et cetera, and get an estimated that it's a minimum coverage of X number of meetings for this amount of money, right? There's a lot of ways that you can slice the commercials on that, but in my mind, they then become a vendor just like everybody else that we pay on a regular basis. And even if it's a prepaid one-time annual payment, which is perfectly fine, right? We do that sometimes, like with fire department software, because we get a much better rate to prepay versus doing monthly billings. And so if you look at it, treating it that way, it's a prepay and you get this much for that prepay.
Also, it's worth noting that although your request was something like $4,000, you've been getting like $2,000 in the appropriations. So overall, that would be an increase of $2,000 because it would be shifting. Because I was thinking of it as an increase in 4, and that's actually not correct, because you've been getting 2,000 and you will probably get it again.
Right.
So,
Yep.
but it's still not nothing to us. And I will point out that I don't know when I'm thinking about our meetings, but GNAT is not always here to cover our meetings. And so it seems to me that if we did have a vendor,
Sometimes they zoom in.
that's correct.
Yeah.
But sometimes they do nothing. Sometimes there's
Right.
nothing. So if
Right.
we didn't have our own video, we'd have nothing.
Correct.
So it's a kind of a question of exactly what is it fair to expect, and if we're gonna be making this payment, we have to get the services in return.
That we're paying for.
I'm just
Tammy,
making-
do you know what because most of the time, like on a regular select board night, when you're either here or you're simulcasting our Zoom meeting on GNAT, do we know what the engagement rate is? Obviously, we can't tell from the cable channel itself, but do we know what the engagement rate is from like them watching on Roku or through YouTube TV?
I have some data. I will say we've gone through like every other small.
I know it's hard to get some of
No,
those numbers,
I have some
but
data, but we've had some labor market challenges. I mean, literally been advertising
Yep.
for videographers since 2020, and we've even gone to the Department of Labor saying we have some young people that would like to work for us, but if they're under, I think 16 or 15, they can't work after so we're getting a
gotcha.
waiver. So we're trying to work out
Yep.
getting a waiver so we can have 14 and 15-year-olds come and do the work. They want to do the work. So we've been zooming in through the digital just as a way to keep it going. I'm hoping we're, seeing the forest through the trees with those issues, because that's really, it's about staffing, and
Sure.
people have not been there. So given that, we've tried to cover all the select board meetings, some of the other planning meetings, and this is the thing that I'll say, is that having that collaborative relationship And with some of the other towns, like they'll call and say, hey, we're having this housing meeting, or we're having, like, can you make sure, you know, make sure. And so having that two-way collaborative relationship, I think, is where we want to go. I think it's better for everybody. It's better for the citizens, and also having an independent organization providing these coverage services, I think, is really important. You know, you don't know who's going to be in these seats, and I think that's really important in terms of an open democracy, having a third party do some of the work. But to answer your question about the audience data, the OTT platforms, the Roku and Fire, and those are a little troubling to get data, as well as Facebook is really challenging. But in Arlington, let's see. Oh, the calendar is very popular, and you guys have it on your town website page, and people are using that. 589 different users and 803 page views on the calendar. The government meetings page, that's our website page on our website, is 151 different users, 450 page views. And then we have a sampling of the 20 most recent Arlington government meetings on YouTube. It's an average of 38 viewers per meeting, and then on Facebook, 263 average reach, I mean, a number of individuals who saw the post, and we can't control the algorithm and all that. And then on the website and Smart TV, an average, and this is based on the last 20 meetings, is 33 views. So
It's interesting data because, you know, we see the 3 or 4 people that there's a number of people that come here, and we see the 3 or 4 people on Zoom.
Sure.
But those are just really interesting numbers, that there are a lot more people engaged in town than maybe what we physically see on our platforms.
That's not a bad thing.
No,
it's
not at all.
That doesn't include cable, like you said, we
Right.
have no idea.
Yeah.
And I think probably the demographics here would say there's still a lot of folks watching on cable.
I know it's anecdotal, but when we first started it, Dick King was on board, and he was amazed at how many people would say, oh, I heard you discuss this, or I heard you discuss that. And he said, we're reaching people, even though they can't participate, they're at least following along and understand what was said, what was done, and why. So this
Could be better than reality TV. You know?
certainly can.
Especially if you're watching planning and design review in Manchester.
It certainly can. But, well, thank you for doing the presentation, and we'll take this up on Monday night's meeting and make a decision, because there is
Monday night is our next regular.
next regular meeting.
And we're trying to get sort of a draft of the budget. So, you know, the board might be at a point to make a decision at that time, or if
We
you
might
have any
do it.
questions, we'll have-
Yeah.
That would be great, and I'll be at another town on Monday night, because I'm
I
running
could
around.
email,
No.
I'll email you.
But if you have something that you
If
need
we
to
have
know,
questions, we can forward them to you and
that'd be great.
make a decision at the following meeting after that, so.
Okay, and the one last thing, that captioning is coming down the pike for governments, I believe in 2027, closed captioning requirements and accessibility requirements for any communications coming out of government.
Mhm.
And so we're looking at our vendors, that's gonna be another added cost that you guys need to think about, whether it's through us, whether it's through whatever platforms you're using.
Don't people have that on their devices?
My understanding is that it is a requirement that it needs to be provided at the outflow.
Well, that's
So-
usually where the device gets it from, is from the
Yeah.
outflow.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, I know that my television has a closed caption.
Yeah, that's
Now, maybe
it's
that's
the
only
metadata on the video stream.
So in other words, it's only if it's already there that it
That's
will give it,
correct.
and if it's not there, it can't give it, okay.
If it's not there, it doesn't read it.
Okay,
yeah,
just a
and
read.
so we can get into details
No,
like
no,
in a
no.
year, like throughout the year on what, but there will be a cost, and we're digging into that now, in terms of, is it by the hour, is it by the letter, is it?
Sounds like the state may be requiring it, and I don't know how else we would provide it.
Yeah.
I think it might even be a federal,
It might,
Yeah, I
it
think
might
it's a
be
federal-
farther up the stream
and
than,
they've given us more time because we have less than 50,000 people, but
Yeah.
the small towns are gonna
but we
need.
do have the minutes, it's not like we don't provide written, summaries, I mean, it's just.
Well, yeah, but I think there's a separate requirement that if
No, I'm
you are
not saying there isn't.
broadcasting,
I'm not saying there isn't.
yeah.
The digital technologies Great.
Nobody can read, they just, well, they have to, I guess, if they want closed captioning, but that's another story.
So that's just a heads up, another thing that's coming down. Thank you guys so much for your time, I really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you, Tammy.
Good luck with everything.
All right, so I think that's it for public comments. So now we're on to fire department discussion and,
Cut it by 30%.
You said that last night.
I know, and then I give in,
That
like,
didn't, you are just a
And we have-
pushover.
I think you're gonna see we took it pretty
we
easy
have
on
two
it.
of the three fire chiefs with us, and I'm gonna,
they all know if they brought a dog with
just-
soft ears, like,
if you
I
look
would
at your
give in right
paperwork,
away.
we're doing it the old fashioned way this year, we're leaving the blank lines and going line by line down through. And just
Bye, thanks.
settling on a number, and this is our first run at the budget.
Yep.
So any changes we have to make, we have to first go through the first run and then see where it falls, and then we can make adjustments as needed.
So, for us, you know, we looked at the budget and we talked about it in length. And our feeling was is we wanted to try to level fund it this year as far as the line items that are there. That being the new, so for us, really the only ones that we can control ourselves, right, is the stipends, the new equipment, the maintenance, equipment maintenance. The rest, you know, gas and oil depends on runs.
Yep,
Diesel depends on runs. Insurance, all that stuff depends on what you guys
Yep.
get in here. Office supply is one that we can control. So when we looked at this, we thought that if we left everything where it was last year, we were comfortable with that. We wanted to add 2 new lines, okay?
okay,
The 2 new lines would be a grant thing that we didn't get a chance to come to talk to you guys about. Because we did, Eric, spent a lot of time working on a grant, but we have no way to fund it, okay? As
so
far
we'd have a
as,
grants and aid line basically.
That's
There's a
right,
grant
grants and-
writers.
yeah.
There's a grant income line up above if you're talking about revenue.
No, this
If you're
would
talking about a
be,
particular project, it should be a project line, not a grant line, it should
No,
be.
so
the
what we're
project.
looking at is, you know, and Eric can explain it more to you too, is, you know, we've worked with this company, or he worked with this company, we were trying to get all new radios to get up where we should be with radios. So the whole grant thing was, you know, $250,000, somewhere in there. But we
Yeah,
had
for
no
all
way
the-
to fund it to have them write the grant for us, right? Or help us write the grant. We had no
Right.
line item to pull this out
For
of.
grant writing.
Yes.
Right,
Okay,
so-
got it,
Oh, gotcha.
got it.
so it would be a grant writing retainer. There's, Eric worked with a company here, and we actually had the commercials, but it didn't work out based on when the timing of the grant and when our meetings fell to
Right.
even bring it forward.
Yeah.
But they have a couple of different levels, and one is a one-time grant writing support. And then there's another level which gives us access to their grant finder database, 2 full grant submissions per year, and 6 narrative or application reviews as well. So there is an opportunity to leverage a grant writer either for just the one grant or to sign on with them and say, okay, we're going to spend $7,500 with you annually, and you're going to write 2 grants for us, and we also have access to this, so we can submit others, and they'll do the reviews so that we get better at writing grants
narrative.
ourselves with better narratives. You know, and the thought is that we're really leaving money on the table, and we need an expert to help us bring that money in.
So would it make sense to name that line just grant writing?
I think I would name it grant writing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a two-year contract.
There is we could work that out. Commercials. Not worried about that.
So, I mean, that's what we were looking at is, you know, So we had no line to pull that from.
Right.
The other line that we wanted to add is something that we've already put in place, is our new, RMS system, right? So as of right now, the way we used to pay for our apps was it come out of our new equipment budget. Well, this really isn't new equipment every year, right? It's equipment that we have.
Right.
You know, we know
Yeah.
what the price is, and everything. We know what the increases are, so that'd be easy to maintain that line going forward, but that was one line that we were hoping to add. So we wanted to take it where, you know, we know the cost of everything's going up. I don't care where you go, everything's going up.
Yep.
But we thought if we level funded the lines that we had right now and just added those two
Save your seat.
those two
ahead.
couple of lines, do you have an issue? Yeah.
So I would propose, like, I think you add a line that's grant writing, and we add a line
Yeah.
that's cloud IT services, so that we're not bundling it in with comm and, you know, and to our 72530 line item. And we were paying for those previous apps out of the equipment budget, and I have to pull up, because somewhere I have that
We
spreadsheet.
originally started taking them from office supplies and computer reporting.
But it got way
I
over
think they got
that.
moved around.
Yeah.
So I think we just budget, we know, I don't have my folder, but I can find the spreadsheet for what we're paying annually for the RMS platform, and we just budget that, because we know what that is for the next 5 years.
Yes.
Yep.
So, that was the approach we were taking. The other thing on all this is with having the buildings now, where is that gonna fit in? And I didn't want it to make it look like the fire department had this huge jump in the year because of what we have to now take on.
That would probably be
bills.
bonded anyway, so it's not gonna be.
No.
We took over, we
Take it
own,
Oh, gotcha,
The
gotcha.
working budget
Okay.
for.
I
So,
was thinking
I was
firehouses.
just at a board meeting
Okay.
and we roughly, to pay out for utilities, all that over there is about 2,500 to $3,000 a month.
right, so I had
So that's gonna-
asked,
Yep.
I spoke with Kendall.
Yeah.
I think I saw her somewhere along the line. in
And she's
the
getting all
middle of
that for
something.
you.
And she was supposed to get those together and get them
She
to
is.
Janet, so that, one, we can
But
change
this-
billing responsibility on those and start to assume those. But number two, that would be really good from a budgeting standpoint.
Well, so we talked about it over there. So she's hoping to have it over here, all that over here by next week, right? She's waiting for the
Yep.
bills
Yeah.
to come in again to do all that. And we
get
just
the year-end
discussed that
numbers.
over there. But what I'm looking at is,
We had a
you take
utilities.
$3,000 a month and add onto our budget, what's it gonna look like for us as the fire department, right? If we tried to raise other stuff, and now we got this big, huge,
It is what it
Okay,
is.
Brian,
Yeah.
one thing, there's a line here that says rental on houses, $2,000,
yep.
that the town,
That's
was the-
when we used to pay the fire company for the use of the building.
For,
okay, but,
That's gone.
and, right, but it's still in here, so that line needs
So
to
we
come
could
out.
convert that line
So we
that's
convert
one of
$2,000,
these
To
you
a
know.
utilities,
to
Yeah.
buildings and grounds,
Yeah, I
or
mean, that
whatever you
almost
wanna call
covers
it.
utilities.
building utilities.
no, that doesn't, no, that cover you a month.
That's 2,000 a year, not 2,000.
Yeah, so we're utilities were 36,000.
Yeah.
We should,
take that a month.
we should write a line item for utilities and put that at 36,000.
And that's
Grant-
rough, right?
Yeah, no,
That
we
might
can
be-
get it a little closer, but grant writing, are you, Eric, I know you did a lot of research on that. Are you inclined to go with the enhanced service so that we get the 6 reviews and the 2 grants written? Or are you more inclined to just have them write 1 grant for us?
I mean, I would do the two grants and do the 70,
So 7,500 for
Yeah.
grant writing.
That makes the most sense to me.
It does to me too. And the other one was like 3,600. So the difference in it,
It's negligible, and
it's
you get much more
negligible.
for your buck.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then cloud IT services, that's why I was just gonna pull up what we're paying for
Is that what you
Alpine.
wanna call that line? What do you wanna call that, what do you call it, when you said RMS system? What do you
Yeah,
wanna
we're gonna call it cloud IT services.
Cloud IT services, okay.
And I need to find AFD RMS RFP, here it is. Oh, that's the RFP. I need to find the spreadsheet, bear with. RFP.
So one thing I don't totally understand in terms of the utilities is, we already have electricity on here, and we already have fuel for the firehouses. So what else is that? Is that the communications?
See, I don't know what you guys are paying for electricity, cause we're paying electric bill over there too.
Yeah, I mean, I know, so I don't know what's going on here.
I don't know what's getting charged to electricity.
Yeah,
Unless,
It's negligible
it's not
though.
very much, yeah.
yeah,
It's like 500.
so, because we pay, I know we, as a protection, pay the electric, you guys do already pay the fuel, cause that's to keep the fire
The
trucks from
insurance, all that.
freezing you and pay
Yeah,
the
yeah.
insurance.
The fuel oil.
Like, I don't know what all the bills are, cause that's not
Yeah.
part of my
Right, well, and
thing
we'll
over
wait,
there.
we'll get that. Don't
This is
worry
just
about it.
information, I was at a meeting prior to coming to this
Yeah,
one.
yeah, no, we'll get that stuff. We'll
You
get
know,
that.
And like I said, that was just a rough number that I was given tonight.
I
It
think
could
we
all go
pencil
up
that in
down.
and then we can, once we get the actuals, we can adjust a little bit, but I think 36,000 for utilities is safe. Cloud IT services is gonna be 6,500 for the upcoming year. And remember, it has, well, we already paid that this year, so, well, it'll be the end of next year. You may
So
wanna
by
add
renewing-
5% to that.
So probably we're renewing what, December? or November?
December we renew,
So add 325 to that.
yeah, add 325 because there's a 5% annual uplift.
6825.
Yep.
Yes,
And the grant writing was 75.
yes.
So it's 5%?
Is that 75
Is it
annual
3%?
for
I
2
think it
years?
was 3 because we went with the 5 years.
Just put 5 in because your number of users may change a little bit. So that gives us just a little cushion.
Does the 7,500 pay for 2 years, or is it 7,500 annually?
It's per year.
It's
For each
annually
year.
for 2 years.
Okay, for 2
Yep.
years.
And you get
With
the
no
2
upcharge.
full grant, that's correct, there's
Which-
no upcharge, and you get 2 full grants and
grants.
then the 6
The extra.
narrative
And they have a
reviews.
pretty good,
They have
grant
an
retention.
excellent track record. They have
Yes.
like a 90%
Yeah.
hit rate
Yeah,
on
well, that's
those.
good.
cause we did get our grant back that we tried writing ourselves. And, you know,
So I sent that to them.
that
for review
wasn't, the verbiage
Right.
wasn't right, where this
They
could
don't
help us
read the
out.
lingo you
Yeah,
entered.
yeah,
And
you know.
so they reject.
So we did, it's not that, and now it's helped through the town here, but it's not that we didn't try to do grants ourselves, but if we
Sure.
could get a little bit of professional help would.
And we'll go through a lot easier and usually more successful.
So, you know, I don't know if you wanna talk about the labor ones, all that, I mean, those are all controlled by you. I just wanted to point out, you see that in maintenance right now, there's $11,000 left. So what happens for us is every other year, there's different stage in maintenance, right? So one year we'll do pumps and, motor oil, that stuff. The next year gets the motor oil again, but it also gets hose testing ladders. So that's why there's a difference, because next year we'll probably eat up that 4,200. We have stages,
42,000.
42,000, sorry, yeah. We have stages that,
Yeah.
you know, every other year is a different level of maintenance that we do, plus whatever else comes along, breakdowns or any of that. So I just wanted to point that out, that that's not extra sitting there.
Yeah.
It's just the year or what we're in.
Sure. So why don't we do this? Let's go down line by line.
Mm-hmm.
The items that are going to change, let's just do those. Everything else we'll just assume remains the same. So just
Well,
go.
they said they wanted to level fund every other line,
Right.
And
other
that,
than adding these
and that's
three new lines.
that was the hope, you know, and I thought that was kind of fair, because as you know, our gear is gonna go up next year. It
Yes,
goes up
yes.
every year.
Yep.
So that takes out of our new equipment line heavy, because that's one of the things we buy every year is we try to buy at least 4 sets of gear. You guys know, cause you approve it every year.
Yep.
So that's gonna take a hard hit, so we don't wanna raise it, we'll just level fund that to bring in these
Yep.
new.
And I
new
think,
lines.
so I look at like comm and Wi-Fi services, obviously your radios and stuff there. I know the network and phone service we made adjustments to, but then we added the iPads and T-Mobile mobile data service for the trucks. So when we get said and done with that, we are still seeing an $1,800 savings per annum. So I think that you just level that and it gives you just a little bit of play in case they get another truck or need another mobile device for, let's say the side-by-side or something. I don't think that's practical, but just as an example, that they need another mobile device for an application, it gives us a little bit of wiggle room there.
Is that a 10? I can't really read that number. Is it a 12 or a 10?
It's
like a
12.5.
It's 12.
And we spent 11,911, right, is the actual.
Yeah.
But we did significantly reduce that, but not till fourth quarter, so, well, the end of third quarter, which is why it still's high. But I think we'll be fine there because our savings allowed our offset to get some additional services.
Dispatch services are staying the same.
I have not heard anything different on that, that's by per call.
Right.
Yeah.
Where the
So our
primary-
call is down from last year right now, by not much. You know,
The number this year was an annual.
we were
fee for it.
172 last year, and what are we sitting on now? 160 something. I mean, we could be right there at the end of the
So
year.
do we buy a block of calls or do they bill us per call?
No, so you buy
We based it on, it was
based
based
on
on certain.
call volume.
Right.
Previous year.
160.
Yeah,
And when does that contract come up for renewal?
isn't it January? Yeah, I think it's January.
Okay.
I think.
So we
I
should
don't
go
know.
through that contract to make sure that the commercials are accurate in it and it's in the best interest of the town of Arlington.
Cause
I will say the dispatching has been phenomenal.
phenomenal. Yeah,
Right
well,
from day one on New Year's Day last year.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're more local people, right? They
Sure.
know when you call and say, I'm at such and such in Arlington, they
And
probably know
actu-
where it is.
and we turned out a lot better than when we first approached up there, because when we first approached, they wanted us to be
$55,000.
partners.
Right.
So we're way better than when we started. And so that one there will end up based on how many calls we have at the end of the
Yep.
year. I'm sure they probably are gonna have a
So
percentage raise, right, because of,
one of the questions I had here, moving down through, was your training in schools. We talked about doing the FDIC and putting more money into that to cover that cost.
so we hit it around a little bit. And like I said, and this was just our thinking, and we'll go along with whatever you guys want, but with looking at all the new stuff coming in, I didn't know if this was the right year to try to do that.
I'm just trying to cover.
No, I totally understand, and you know how I feel about that, but, you know, I'm a taxpayer in this town too, and when you see big hikes, I mean, one of the things that I wanted to bring up that we haven't talked about here is, you know, yes, we just covered utilities, but now we gotta cover maintenance, that this town's never had to cover on garage doors, door openers, any of that stuff. There's a lot more besides the utilities
Oh, yeah.
that we have to, and that's what I'm looking at, but I'm in favor, you know, training's a big thing, and if we wanna fund that for 4 people, that's about, what was it, $6,500 or something, $6,600. I just don't know if this is the right year to do that.
So on building, I think we need to think about the training and the 6,600 there. And on building maintenance, do we have an estimate of what the protection spent last 12
I think
months?
it's all gonna be in that packet that Kendall's working on,
Okay.
cause all that goes through, you know, them.
Because we really should budget something for building maintenance, because a door opener is gonna go out,
Sure.
you know, we're gonna need an oil burner or something like that, right? There's gonna be something that comes up, and rather than be blindsided by it, I mean, we own the asset now. So owning the asset means that we are gonna have to spend some more money.
Yeah, cause, you know, we have,
And there's some preventative maintenances, right? Like you've got to get I don't know if you have a grease trap, but you know, those kind of things, right? Like grease trap needs to be pumped, the furnace needs to be serviced per annum. There's probably some little things like that that we're just getting done through the protection that we are responsible for now.
I mean, there's the mowing, we actually have, I mean, as a protection, we paid somebody to keep the upstairs clean, so it's presentable all the time.
You know, cleaning
I mean,
services, you have
there's-
access control, so there's probably like some key, you know, we have to buy key fobs for that, and I don't
Have
know
a
if
good
you
bunch of them
outsource.
now.
I don't know if you
Just gotta get
outsource
that
programming or not,
here.
but you know, those are the kind of things that we need to take into account because we own those. It's ours now.
And that was one thing that, well, we can talk about after, maybe I can talk, is we wanted to know January's board meeting if the two liaisons could come over so that we could decipher all this back and forth. Like, is the town gonna take over the key fob situation? That kind of stuff.
Yeah,
You know, we
it's
have a
funny,
lot
'cause I've
of,
actually already was thinking about that.
Yeah,
and,
so- you know,
when
there's
is
a
the
lot of
January
unknown questions.
meeting?
This is new for all of us. I mean, this is.
Sure.
Yeah, I will definitely
Yep.
come, and I'm happy to sit down with Kendall or whoever and go through everything. I mean, if she can send the packet over,
She's
before-
working on it.
because we want to finalize the budget. Excuse me, and I think that packet is super important for us to come up with those numbers so that we at least have a good. I mean, I could probably put my finger in the wind and come up with a number. I suspect my number would be estimated a little high. Historically, I think the fire department, you guys have been really good, thrifty New Englanders in how you get things done, and it works. And I think we really appreciate that. And that's why those actuals will be super helpful. My numbers will be based off of kind of like national knowledge, which would probably be high.
Dan, could I just?
Yes.
Just, since, you know, we're taking on this new responsibility, and, you know, we'll work with Janet to get the lines and find out from Kendall, you know, what the costs are, get it in the budget, but in terms of things like, the key fobs or managing those kinds of things, to the extent that the town administrator office would be the natural place for some of that to rest, I just wanna encourage you, let's have a gradual transition, because I've got everything I
Gotcha.
can handle.
Gotcha.
So in other words, it might make sense for everything to just come over, but like key fobs or you know, please, you guys are the ones doing it, you guys keep that, and then eventually things can.
And I think a lot of that can stay within the fire department organization itself, right?
I mean, that's what I'm proposing, that
yeah.
the things that they're doing, they should.
Personally, I think it should go to the chiefs at this point, because they
Yeah.
are the head of our.
It'll
department.
maintain continuity.
They are in charge of everything in that building now.
Yeah.
It's also,
For us.
you're gonna know
So-
if someone departs
And you can shut that
sooner than we will, because
For
someone's
sure.
gonna throw a set of turnout gear and boots at you and walk out the door. And so there's the opportunity, right? We don't have a 24-hour
Shut off,
service desk
done.
to call and say, hey, I need you to terminate this
Right.
employee. It's your responsibility, because you're right there. You're gonna know when it happens right then and there, and you take care of it.
Yep.
And I think that's across the board with, you know, RMS logins, right? And the key fobs, and you just have a checklist that departing, you know, member, and this is what we go down
Yep.
through, and it's the, you know, between all of the chiefs, the responsibility.
Yeah, that's one of the things I'm going through right now with the RMS, is setting up all the permissions for everybody. It's like different groups,
Welcome to my world.
chiefs, officers, firefighters, you know.
You know, and this is, and I don't want this to sound in a bad way, but this is gonna put a lot more onto the chiefs as far as what, You know, we all thought this was a great idea, and it is, but this, you know, and like I said, we talked about leaving the stipends the same, but
Well, your job
we're
shifts.
adding a lot to
Yeah,
the chiefs.
I think if we need to increase the stipends, because you guys do so much.
yeah.
You
I
know,
mean, and the stipends are
and
just
I-
a gesture, but it's still.
and I understand, you know, we're
One of the
volunteering.
things when I was last chief is I wanted to set an annual rate and then keep that rate and do 5% or whatever
Yep.
every
Inflation.
3 years or
Yep,
whatever.
yep.
But then it takes it out of his hands, and if somebody is not doing it, they come to us, and then we have the chat that,
Yeah.
hey, you're not getting your stipend because you're not doing your job.
Right,
Or whatever.
Right,
Because it is taxpayer money.
sure.
Yeah, cause like right now, what happens is I have to figure out, depending on the number of our officers,
How to break it down.
how to break it down, and how much each person's
Which
gonna make,
If
and,
it were set in stone,
yeah,
by
it'd be a lot
boards, then
easier, it
What
really
is the
would.
first number on that? I can't read for the stipends. Is it 18,750? 13?
it used to be
I think
13.
it's 12.
13,750, you
On
can
the
see it better on
volunteers?
mine right here.
It's like typed on an
13,750.
It's
IBM
hard to-
Selectric.
It's hard to read this.
13,750. It
You
was
say 13?
13,750.
It's on my
see it on-
copy.
You can add up the other two columns, I mean, that's.
Well, I know.
Oh, you've
but-
got a good copy.
Well, this is an
So-
older copy.
Photocopies.
Dan, building maintenance, there's 2 buildings to take into account. We'll wait till the actuals, but my in the wind is 22,000.
For maintenance of both buildings?
Yes.
And that wouldn't be utilities or anything?
That's
like
not
that?
Is
utilities.
that
just-
a
that's
new
just-
line though, because the
It's
maintenance
gonna
line
have
there is the trucks.
I think you
That's
need
it,
to add a
right.
building maintenance line. And I'm
Is there a
thinking,
restroom down west?
Yes.
yeah,
Just to
And
put
that
it in
one-
the sink.
that
There's
one's
no
got a
shower
shower.
down there.
Right, no shower, it's.
No
it's got a
laundry.
kitchenette.
Yep.
Yep, and it's got a metal roof,
No, it
No,
has shingles.
has a shingle roof.
That's why-
Did it
That's
have a
been
metal roof?
replaced within the last
No, it did
10
not.
years.
Okay,
but
okay.
that's why I'm thinking, like, I'm just going through like everything on
Yeah,
a
yeah.
building that can go wrong.
So if
and
the
does
shingles
go
I
are
wrong.
think your 22
replaced
is
in
high,
last-
personally, I'd
Yeah, I
give
think
about
so.
15.
Yeah. I mean, flat roof at
Because
east.
we have taken very good care of the boilers, the furnaces have been upgraded and done.
I know the roofing and
The heating
siding's
is
been
done.
done on east,
The-
maybe
I'd
15 years
rather
ago.
budget high for the
that's
first year
longer, but-
and then adjust it in
Yeah.
subsequent years, as well as come up with a capital plan of things that will need to be done
Yeah.
over the next 5 years, right?
Why don't,
I mean, I think
why don't we try 15
Cause like,
and see where we come in?
Okay.
If we have to bump it a little or drop it a little, then that
If we go
gives
over,
us-
we go over.
Well, if it's
But you
something
think
that
each
requires
So
you go to
30?
17
No.
if you'd want, a couple grand more.
17.5,
17.5.
17.50.
We split the difference and do 17.
Yeah, let's do 17. But that
I
way,
just- I
we have
know-
it gives us a baseline to start from,
Yep.
but I know
The
the,
company has really put a lot of money into
They
the
have.
buildings
I know they
They
have.
and the maintenance,
It's-
so I
Yeah.
don't,
There's not
There's not a
much
lot of
deferred
stuff.
maintenance there at all, but we have to anticipate
a little
that
bit.
a garage door opener is gonna go out, and I mean, that's a couple
Well, those are
$1,000
all
bucks.
redone,
Those are
right?
all fairly
Those are
new.
all
yeah,
brand new.
we just repaired one. One thing that we were working on that hasn't been accomplished yet is the downstairs lighting at the main station, the east station. We have a lot of lights that are out, a lot of dark spots. They're
So that would
8-foot
come out of your-
ballast. They're 8-foot ballast, so you can't get them anymore. So it's time to change them to LEDs, which is
Yep.
going to be a little.
that's gonna be a little
Cost.
pricey.
Yep. You know, but we do have a lot of dark
You're gonna
spots now.
save so much in energy.
I know.
So, I mean, that would come out of our
Yeah,
building
just so
maintenance
for an
line
idea,
item,
yeah.
and so
Yeah.
that's something like, yeah, city lighting
I
comes in.
think
and
17
then-
is a reasonable compromise.
Yeah,
But this is why, you know, we talked about this and wanted to try to just
Yeah.
keep, because we knew that there was a big change coming here.
Yep.
And people aren't gonna
But you can't-
know what it is.
But we can explain it.
I totally
Yeah.
Now
understand
that
that.
the town
I
has
totally,
has taken over the ownership of the buildings, there is a maintenance and.
no, I totally understand.
Yeah,
and
But
I
I think, and Eric, correct me if I'm wrong, when we talked about this in our officer meeting, I think we're comfortable this year because we have been fortunate. There's departments that can't buy 4 sets of turnout gear every year. I think we can take a year and stay level and still make our way through.
So, I
Yeah,
think,
I mean,
you-
we are pretty fortunate with a lot of the new equipment that we get every year. And
ARPA last year.
ARPA helped a
Helped,
lot.
helped a lot. So we're willing to take that, you know, and then approach the,
So the only other thing that I, in this line, and it's always been a bug to me, is the emergency contingency. And I say that should be at a minimum of what the South Arlington Cambridge agreement is. Because if we have a call over there, we have to pay it. And that's their per call rate is what, that's where we paid it from before.
And
I
since
think
you
it's like $1,300, and this is set at $9.
Since you mentioned that, I'm not aware that the, Cambridge agreement that we modified and sent back to them
Has been
ever
signed.
came back, unless it came back while I was out and Janet hasn't mentioned it. So I don't know if you want me to contact them. Remember that was the one
They
where.
might be looking it over themselves.
So- I'm thinking, you know, I really appreciate, and I obviously joke at the beginning of the meeting
No,
that I wanna
I
cut
totally
the
under-
budget, and that's the world that I come from, but we have to be practical about this. And I believe, you know, really we're level setting the budget. Yes, we are increasing it because we're adding these items, but to Jamie's point, it's very explainable, and now we own
Yeah.
2 additional assets
Yep.
Right.
that we have to pay for, and that benefits the town as well. I just did some quick math, and we haven't really raised those stipends in a long time. It's at 13,750 now. I think we raised that to 16,500.
I'm okay with that.
And then we come up with a new stipend schedule after the first of the year for the chiefs, and however that works, based on the fact that, to Cynthia's point and to your point, your job as a chief is changing, and what's going to be expected of you is going to change slightly, because there are more things. You're now responsible for a building
Yeah.
as the chief, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
I mean,
all of
Eric's
us has
your
changed.
IT guy at this point
Yeah.
for the
You know.
RMS stuff, right? We've got technology changes, we have role changes based on, you know, we own assets now, you represent the town, it's
Yep.
you're in charge of the building, just like Willie's in charge of the park and Mark's in charge of the town garage. So it's important that we take that into account. And while we probably can't do what we would love to do right off the bat, I think that we could increase that and start to tackle that.
you know, and I think for next year, after we see how all this plays out, that's the time that I'd like to approach going to the FDIC for training. Everybody says it's great. I just, you know, as we talked about, we don't feel that this is,
I mean, we
This
can
is the
still
year.
do New England.
Yeah, we can still
take
do
another
something
road
around
trip
here.
to
That's
New
right.
England and out to New York
You know.
or something like that.
Yeah.
It was-
I would say go to the
Or
one
day
in
trips.
Syracuse, it's a day trip.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, the training, you know, there's a company that we've just been talking with over in New York that wants to really come over here, and I think next year is gonna be the year that they come over. We've been to quite a few of their classes.
Yeah.
They're very good.
Very good.
So,
Do any of, and this can be a separate conversation, but just think about this, are there any products that we buy, manufacturers that we use at the fire department that will come over and do like a training on their equipment that we have at
We've
no
done that
charge,
with
like
extrication.
with like extrication and stuff? Like sometimes
Nozzles.
the salespeople will send somebody
So-
out
so
to
the
do free
new-
training.
Yeah.
So
the new, with the ARPA money, we bought the battery cutters. And then the fire protection bought another set for us. That company actually came out and gave us a whole day
good. Okay.
thing with it.
So those are some opportunities where we can give people some additional trainings
Yep.
if we can find them, right?
Yep.
Hose nozzles.
Yeah, the guy that
Nozzle, we did
came
a whole
out and did
nozzle day.
Yeah.
Nozzle reaction.
Because that's good for the
Pressures
membership
and-
as a whole, to have a third party come in and kind of do training that's not internal, right? You're bringing somebody external in to kind of do that. So wherever we have an opportunity is a really good, a good way to build.
This year's training would have been all spent, but we got some of that back. I don't know if you guys saw when it came back, but our schooling that we go to every year got canceled due to lack of participation. And we had the most.
The Bennington Rutland.
We had the most. We had 15 people signed up, and it got canceled, so.
So if you're good with level funding everything else, the only other line I would bump up is the emergency contingency to cover.
And
It's only
one call.
$900.
Yeah, I would take it to $13.50, which covers
Okay.
one call into Blackwell Hollow.
and then it's probably the next page where we talk about the other.
Yeah, but we don't pay. shoot.
And so the one thing that, you know, and we're not gonna show this year, although it would be interesting, we'll have to think about this, and maybe we should talk through it right now. So we will start to bill for non-structure fire responses. The primary, and I'm almost done finalizing the commercials on that, and Eric's getting RMS up and running. So by the first of the year, we'll be ready to start with our ordinance as well. It will have gone into effect fully. The purpose of that is to cover the cost of consumables, and then anything additional we put into the truck sinking fund.
Yep.
But I think from an accounting standpoint, it would be very interesting to show our billing, somewhere we need to show what was our insurance billing revenue, and then what did we transfer back to our supplies line, and what did we transfer to the fire truck sinking
So
fund.
could that be a one-time year transfer, so it goes into a line?
I think
and
it
then-
goes into a line,
then
and then at
once
the
a
end of the
year,
year, it
yeah.
transfers
Yep.
over.
Yes.
Yeah, and then, so you'll create a revenue line in the upper section.
Insurance revenue.
Insurance,
billing.
Insurance revenue, yeah.
Insurance billings or insurance revenue. So that'll go in there, and then you just add a line down here, or two lines. One, well.
Well,
you
one's
already
going
have
to the
one.
CRF
One's
truck.
the CRF truck, and then the other's gonna be replenishing perishables.
Yeah, which would go to our supplies where we take those
Yep.
out anyways today, right?
So-
And
I think we'd have to have Janet track that by hand, because it all goes to the bottom line. You're not gonna
Sure.
do those transfers, it's just gonna.
well, we'll be able to get a
we can
report
track it.
out of the system.
Yeah, yeah.
So out of the billing system, we'll have reporting as
Right, but if
well.
if we wanna divide it in a certain way.
It'll need to be
that's up
divided.
us to track.
Because the important thing is, you know, I mean, they're spending, right? So new equipment is, I think, where you're taking your speedy dry out of, right?
We just
Yeah.
bought a pallet, that's
So-
$1,000.
Yeah, we're spending $1,000 on a pallet of speedy dry, and I mean, you could blow through that in 3 car
You
accidents.
blow through that
Right,
in
but
one
what'll
big truck
happen, I
accident.
think, is that once we learn what we can get from the insurance building, you know, year to year, like suppose it turns out to be $7,000, you know, on average, then we can up those budget spending lines because we know
Okay.
we're gonna have the
Yeah.
extra. But we have to find out what we can get with this new system.
And you're gonna have some revenue, where are we gonna put, alarm permit revenue? Is that going towards the truck sinking fund, or are we putting alarm permit revenue into offset?
Well, could you put it in, well, just an idea, but could you put it into offset the cloud services?
We could.
You can't-
Because that's-
You have to put it in the revenue line. You
So
have
yeah,
to
we
put
put it in the
have to put
revenue
it-
line.
Yeah, it has.
So my suggestion there would be, I hate the word miscellaneous.
I do
Change that
too.
line to the line you want.
Yeah, but you also have refunds, rebates, miscellaneous. You have a miscellaneous line, and then you have another refunds,
I think we add it, we say it's alarm permits.
Okay,
Alarm
just
permit.
add it in revenues, and then we can decide.
It's a
where-
revenue,
where to
and then
go.
the budget takes away from the revenues, so
Yeah,
it's just
it's
one
that-
place,
it
that's
all-
perfectly fine.
So
Yeah.
what I'll do with these changes is I'll work with Janet to get them put in place, and then you guys are gonna have to review it to make sure we got it.
The other
What-
change in line I would do is where it says rentals on houses. That's going away.
That goes
Make
away.
that your
Right,
building
I've got
maintenance
that.
line.
I've got that.
Make
And we've
that
got
your
it.
building
No, I've
maintenance
got
line.
that, yeah.
Yep.
Or was it
Okay.
utilities?
It's.
Well, there's a
I'd
couple.
Do you
put it
wanna
as
reuse
billing.
the GL number though, or do you wanna create a new GL number? Because historical
could do that, too.
reporting,
Yeah,
we'll wanna
yeah.
see the historical reporting from the
We
old.
probably should create a new one just to be safe.
Yeah.
And I
think
don't know
you
how
can-
many lines the utilities will take. I mean, we have an electricity line.
Fuel oil, electric,
We have, no, we already have fuel
You got
oil.
alarms.
fuel
We
oil.
have an electricity line, but it's
We
not
pay the
covering your
alarm already.
electricity.
You do?
So what else is there?
Yeah,
Town pays the monitoring and the
We
alarm.
do, yeah.
I don't
Just kinda
understand what
mentioned
the
something about
3,000 is.
countryside.
The
For-
3,000
It's probably
a
for
month
access control.
Okay, I don't know, she just
They
mentioned.
do
Yeah.
access control. and
That's
the
what we
fire
need to
alarm.
get from
Fire alarm
Kenwood.
should have been
Yeah.
going
I
to.
think we pay for the fire alarm.
I just know what I heard from the last
That's
meeting
fine.
I was at.
We'll figure it out. I think we got enough in that number. I
do
think we
have
have
a
enough
number.
in that number.
You know, it's always
CRF,
possible
which is
the
the
electric company's double dipping too.
So we do have another CRF line
Not that I
along with
think
the
they
fire
are, but,
truck, which is the extrication tools.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. I mean, you know, at the end of the year, when we look at
What
our
came in.
revenues, right? And let's say we get 10 or 15,000 in insurance revenue, right?
I think the last time I knew that we got a full year worth was around 10.
So we've said
it's
we
a
can put
while
that
ago.
into the CRF for the fire truck, but we could also authorize to transfer that to extrication tools 1 year if we needed to. I think the
course.
key is that it's going to a capital
$45,000
reserve
for a set
fund.
of tools, and
Yeah,
they don't last, and we don't know how long the battery
Battery,
tools
this
are
is
gonna
all
last.
new, yeah.
Right.
This is a whole new,
New ballgame, so that would
well,
be good.
I'm hoping, you know, obviously the insurance biller that we've signed up for has a really good run rate. And there are, you know, we should start banging that out and see what we get.
Yep.
We start cutting out every car accident.
Isn't that like the rescue squad, they transport and call a chopper for everything? Sorry.
The last line, you know, the fire truck one,
Sinking fund.
sinking fund,
Yep.
okay?
It's a problem.
Well, so, you know, we've been talking about, we've been hitting a lot of different ideas, a lot of stuff passed back and forth. We know well, I can tell you, so
We're
we're
gonna be
looking
short.
at a 2027 replacement, right? That's in our capital replacement whole big scheme thing here. But at 325,000 right now, so next year will be 425. We might end up with 525 if we stay at 100. We're looking at, if we're going brand new, just the base thing, we're looking anywhere from 800 to $1 million. 800,000 to $1 million. So we've toyed around with some different ideas. We've been looking at some lot of used trucks,
Oh, yeah.
a lot of stuff to try to help that sinking fund, you know, Band-Aid that sinking fund one time. But eventually we can't do it every time, right? So that's just something that I just wanted to throw out there. We are definitely putting in the effort to find different ways, you know, and that's what I said at your last meeting is, you know, we've never really looked into used stuff a lot or any of that.
we've been looking at a lot of use.
We've been looking at a lot of stuff getting passed around back and forth with each other that,
Use stuff on.
Well, at
Demos
this point,
and-
because of that very thing, I think we need to get creative in how do we do this? Because
Yeah.
that's a
I think it's
huge,
really, it's gonna come down to, we're gonna put some money down and we're gonna lease.
I think that's,
I think
gonna
that's
be
probably where we're gonna end
Yeah.
up. You know, you just mentioned a demo or courtesy fire truck, right? That's like going and buying the demo
If you buy the
Mercedes
demo
Benz,
right now,
right?
you're at $725.
yep, that was a deal that they were just approached us
Offering.
with.
They just, I think they've only got one of those trucks left.
They were
right
they were
now.
going fast.
Yes,
Yep.
I think they've got.
Because
one.
that's what's happening.
because that's what's happening.
Cynthia's got a question over there.
So I think it's very interesting that you mentioned the leasing, and of course, Arlington has always done a good job of using the sinking funds, and it's such a conservative strategy, and it's served us well. But when we were talking about highway yesterday, one of the things I was thinking afterwards, like the town's behind on bridge, saving up for bridges and saving up for blacktop. And so I was thinking, could we go to leasing some of our highway equipment and be able to get ahead for the blacktop? And the same might apply for not all the fire trucks, but maybe one or two, something like that. Because I think that if we went to like 120,000 instead of 100,000 this year, even that wouldn't get us caught up. And this department is already having like a 70,000 increase because of taking over the buildings and the other things. And so we really have, and we can explain that, but we really have to be aware of that. So we might be able to come back to the sinking fund next year and, be increasing it. But I think that being creative, the used, the leasing, the hybrid, it would be better if we could save up for everything, but right now, I just don't think we can.
Tax base isn't there.
And that's why we
And
wanted
there's
to
some
come in this
grant
way.
revenue,
that.
so
Appreciate
we're gonna spend some money to see what we can get on grant revenue, and I think that, there is another spot to be creative. And I think both of you as chiefs have already started thinking that way, to be creative. And Eric, I appreciate, you brought
you
forward
do as
the grant, right? Okay, yeah, how do we really get this money that's out there? Because there's a lot of other people that get that money.
There's a lot of opportunity.
And yeah, so.
And I think we should also think about that in terms of going forward, because I know that one of the things we thought about in terms of when I tried to step in as the town administrator is that I was not gonna have the time or ability to do the grant writing that Nick might have done. And so hiring experts is perfect. That's what we should be doing.
And that's a good offset for our further conversation later
Exactly.
this week of the differences in the salary based on the hours and everything, to say, okay, rather than, in that, and we've talked about this before with Cynthia as town administrator and her role, how do we offset and augment by hiring professionals to do some of that,
That's
we're not paying for all their overhead and everything, right? So.
Right. And we can
it's-
hire them as needed basis. I mean, and this goes back to the firehouse discussion, can we hire a consultant there?
Yep.
Or the whole property evaluation you were talking about, but we should be aware of that in terms of, even using BCRC or Nick or whatever, because we need to do that to supplement what I'm trying to do, just doing the basics. So I'm really excited to see what this grant writing might do for you, because somebody who does this for a living, they're just gonna bang it out, something that you guys or I would have spent days on, and they're just gonna bang it out, and it's gonna.
Well, and they also know, they do it all the time, so they know
Yeah.
They
all
know
like
the right
narrative.
things to
They know
say.
what
The verbiage.
they all
Yeah.
know
All
the
of it.
verbiage of what to
Right.
write to be able to get the
And
grant.
they did an analysis on one of the grants
On the grant that
Nick had submitted, and they came back with some really good points. And the narrative was off, and it's not that it was bad. It was just
That's what we thought.
you
not what they
didn't
read.
know what. It's all about knowing the audience and the keywords that they want to see. The fact of the matter is, it's much like grants are much like when the car dealer submits your auto deal to the bank, right? It hits the computer first, and the computer scores it. And then does it go to an automatic approval because it hit a certain score, so that was just an automatic, you're approved? Or is it in this range that then it goes to an underwriter to review to make the final decision? And that underwriter is also scored on, and they're paid on how they fund those deals, right? And if they end up being, quote, good deals. So a grant is not much different than that, right? You submit the grant, it goes through a computer, it gets a score, then it goes to an underwriter that makes a decision on whether you get the grant or not. But the computer's done the majority of the work. So knowing what the computer wants to see is half the battle.
At least.
And I think, like, in the case of the one that they did the analysis on, well, it wasn't bad, it just didn't have the keywords to get it to that score to actually even get it in front of somebody.
Yeah, and basically wasn't needed a lot more
Specifics, yeah.
information rather than, you know,
It was
generalization.
very general wishy-washy, but,
Yeah.
you know, I think,
But yeah, they want to see specifics.
you know, if we start doing that and thinking creatively, we can get ourselves, we're not underwater at the moment. We are with regards to the fire truck, but to your point, like, maybe we just have to start thinking creatively, and you guys have done a good job of that.
Yep.
And continue to do that and bring ideas, you know, demos, leasing. Yeah, we put a percentage down and then we lease
Yep.
it, and we just turn it in and wash our hands. And yes, we always have a truck payment, if you will. We always end up with a lease payment, but really you're paying the depreciation on that. I suspect a fire truck depreciates way more than an automobile, but I don't know. And, you know, there's some challenges around that, but it's also a consistent budget line item year over year. It's like our grader. Our grader is a consistent budget item year over year that
And
we can plan for.
I have a question about that, with leasing, like with the grader, who's responsible for maintenance and repairs on that machine then?
Usually
We
We
are.
are.
We are,
We are.
okay, we still are.
It's no different than
Leasing
leasing a
a
vehicle.
Yeah.
I thought that, I don't, I'm not familiar with it, I just,
Yeah.
so you still have
A
to have your
lease,
maintenance.
a lease
when
with the
you're-
fire truck is a little different because you don't really turn it in at the end. You take ownership.
Yeah, you take.
It's a
Right.
dollar buyout lease.
Right.
Basically.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, you could structure the lease either way, right? So you could structure it on fair market value or $1 buyout, however you want it, right?
So I mean, the dealer we had in, we talked about that. All right, so if on a $900,000 truck, if we put down 400,000 and then do a lease, and they had leases out to 12 years,
Yeah, you were.
12 years,
Something
I
like
think,
that, yeah.
to keep your payment down so that the rest of your money is still going
Going
in
into your
to
single
build
fund.
up to
Build up
towards
the
your
next truck, yeah.
Because we've been battling
I mean,
this.
your whole
that
sinking
dropped
fund isn't
it.
just going to
Yeah, it dropped
Yeah.
it down to
the one
like
truck.
60,000 a year.
No, no,
for
it
a payment,
totally.
and so,
We've been battling this for years, as you know.
yeah.
That
Yeah,
even when we put more money in, the price of a fire truck goes up way more than we can put in.
And
right.
there's $100,000 motor
You know.
increase coming.
Yeah, so he's talking more capital lease on that, which would be your $1 buyout versus fair market value. There are a lot of companies that will lease equipment. There are companies that will lease anything. I could probably lease this Coke can.
Is it one truck we're talking about then?
Right
And
now.
Right now.
right
So-
now,
right now,
but
yeah.
so we can talk, and I think that's at the point where we look to see. I don't know what the fair market value is on a fire truck after 4 years,
It
and what's the
depends on the truck.
depreciation,
Depends on the
right?
truck.
So that's where we look at the differences if we were going to be leasing in a capital versus a fair market value, right? An automobile lease is typically a fair market value lease. So you lease it for 36 months. At the end of the 36 months, there's a set number. You've paid the depreciation on it. That's the fair market value. And if you want to spend the fair market value on that and
You can
buy
buy it
it,
out.
you
You can buy it out, yeah.
Or there are occasions where the market drops out underneath the vehicle, right? And it's not worth what your set fair market value is. And that's where you just give it back to the bank, right? And let, Bank of America or Chase take the hit on it, because that's their problem at that point. And so it's all a numbers game.
So one reason that we have trouble is, we keep our trucks 30 years.
Yes.
So we don't get anything for them.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's
we
no
used to
trade.
get $750,
Right?
$500, right?
Yeah,
A lot of them are turning them in 15, 20 years. And so back in the day of, let's say, a $500,000 truck, they're getting $250,000 for that fire truck
At 15-year mark.
at 15-year mark. So
Okay.
but we couldn't ever get to that. We could never get there, cause we have to keep them so long to make it
that's-
work out.
Interesting that if we did fair market value lease on a fire truck, we may be able to get there a little bit better. So those are really good conversations that we should probably start having with financial institutions and the manufacturers as we look to replace this next truck.
I seem to remember that one time a salesman came and gave us a presentation about leasing. You
Yeah,
know, and so they, you know, so I think that's another thing that we could, you know, they're the experts, they have the different designs, and ask them for some of that information.
And then we need to know what the buy rate is on that lease.
yeah.
Because they're using a third party to fund that, and there's a certain amount that they have a range that they can charge, that they're allowed to charge, so we'll need to understand the buy rate on that to negotiate something as cheap as possible.
One of the other things we're looking at in the committee is, all right, what is gonna be the best bang for our buck for the next 20 years on this truck? Cause that's
Yep.
kinda where we're at,
Yep,
minimum of 20 years. Manpower, town growing, town shrinking, what's
Yeah.
gonna be our best bet?
But if we
I mean,
lease it,
that's
do we just
why-
lease it for 12 years and then get a
That's-
replacement one?
That's why we went to the tanker to begin with. We got rid of 2 trucks.
Sure.
Put twice as much water on, 1
Yep.
pump instead
Right.
of 2. But we're kind of at that point. That's as far as we can go there.
We're reduced to the minimum we can carry
Right.
now, so I don't think that's an option. One thought I had the other day, and you tell me if I'm all wet, the accessory vehicles, the rescue vehicle, the
Brush truck.
the brush truck, all of those things, if we were to, and it's not gonna solve the problem, believe me. But if we go to a good used option on those 2 vehicles, and then focus on whatever creative solution we have for the rotation, we have to consider the rotation in the lease, we have to consider what are the mechanics of the lease, and so on, but we can't leave any of these stones unturned. We gotta look
Right.
at it comprehensively. We gotta look at how, one thing that'll help us is take the spreadsheet and run the numbers on just what you just said, $800 million. That's what, if we're doing it the way we're doing it, that's what we're gonna have to put in the sinking fund.
So-
And it'll probably scare us
sent
all.
You both the link to that spreadsheet, I think, last
Oh,
night I
okay,
found it.
I didn't look.
So-
But that, by adjusting it that way, then we can look and say, okay, this is a real problem, this is what we gotta do, and then we can incorporate the lease strategy into it, and see what that does to it.
So we've had this conversation, on a Sunday. So if you take a look at our firehouse, you come in, so the first 2 bays is an engine and a tanker, okay? Down west is an engine and a tanker.
Yep.
From then up east, it's a brush truck, it's our rescue truck, which is just a box.
Yep,
And the pickup that you guys just
there's your
bought.
tools. and equipment.
So we looked at this building and we said, what we should be doing is, right now, a tanker needs to be replaced, so we wanna replace a tanker. Then next will be an engine, so then we replace an engine. And those 4 trucks go back and forth. The brush truck is here until, what's gonna outdo the brush truck is because people aren't gonna know how to drive a standard anymore. So that's gonna outdo the brush truck. Otherwise, that brush truck, it's a 2005, it's only got 8,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
That's gonna be there a long time.
Supposed to be there until 2040, I think.
The
in
one,
schedule.
the rescue truck is an older truck.
There's a
We
trade-off
bought that
for you.
used.
We did, yep.
But it's, the motor is the older motor that, knock on wood, goes forever.
Yeah.
The frame is in good shape because it came from the south. So that truck's gonna stay a while, and
Yeah.
it's a cheap truck to replace, because you could take the box off, put a new cab and chassis
Cab,
under it, go
yep,
again.
yep.
The pickup truck, if the brush truck goes out, then we could move that into that spot, and then find something else different for a command truck. So we've looked at this.
Yep.
We got 4 trucks that we really need to focus on.
Yep.
On how we switch them back and forth. And we could make it work where, you know, theoretically, the used truck always goes down to the west station, because we have less
Less
members
use.
down
Yeah.
members down there, less use, and we could rotate these
Yeah.
trucks back and forth is,
These are all part of the creative solution that I'm talking about.
yeah, so, we've just, I mean, we've done.
Yeah. But it'll be obvious, when you put that stuff in the spreadsheet, it's gonna tell us what we already know, but it's gonna be in real numbers.
I mean, to us, the sticker shock was how much a fire truck costs now.
Yeah.
We just bought one however many years ago for what, 500,000?
Yeah.
And you guys know, we don't do anything special. Like, I know fire departments
no,
that do real special stuff. We buy a fire truck to fight a fire, that's all we do with it.
Yep.
And when they came out with the new prices, we were like,
I want the
what
one with
happened?
the little coffee machine that pulls out
Yeah,
of it.
what happened,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So it's scary. And then
And
we have a motor increase price coming.
I'm sure you already, you're fully aware of the big issue, but I'm sure you already, through mutual aid, are aware of who and what equipment you have within
Oh,
arm's reach.
Every department
Every
around us is
department
running
ha-
into the same thing.
You gotta
And they're
plan
doing the same thing as we are. They're
collaboratively.
doing an
Yeah.
engine and tanker, and
Yeah.
that's what we're rolling.
Yeah.
So now we've got tanker, when we have a call and we're gonna need a lot of water.
We have a tanker
call
task force.
Tanker task force,
Yeah.
and it's all the tankers.
Perfect.
Our dispatch knows
Yeah.
what every town has, and that's what they start calling.
That's excellent. I wasn't
so-
sure, I figured you guys
No.
had a good idea, but if
I
that's
mean,
already in place, that's
That is in
excellent.
place, and when
Yeah,
we got
excellent.
the Northshire mutual aid set up, that was one of our
Yep.
big things, is getting everybody to know what our equipment is,
Yep.
especially up here to the north, because we're a little quicker here to the north.
It also
than to
makes
the
it
south.
more powerful use of the mutual aid system.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'm glad that's in
We have
place.
first alarms, second alarms, up to fourth alarms, and
Yeah,
And that was all
Different
put through by
assignments.
the dispatch. That's where it helped us
Yeah.
a lot,
Yeah.
you know. So, but yeah, other than that, I mean, that's what we
So-
wanted to propose.
I think, capital reserve, I think we leave the CRF where it is, because I think to Cynthia's point, even if we've got a lot of other increases because we took over the buildings this year, we will hopefully contribute to the additional funds to the CRF through insurance billing.
Yep.
And to your point, if we added 20 or even 50,000, it's not really
Doesn't
gonna
solve
get
the
us
problem.
anywhere.
right.
Not right now, no.
Not
You
right
could
now.
double the sinking fund, you
It still wouldn't
keep
get
up.
us there,
That's-
Right, and
so,
we can come back to the sinking fund next year, we
Mm-hmm.
need to digest the houses, so to speak.
Yeah.
In the budget, and then we'll come
I
back.
think we
to that.
digest those and we see what we're gonna put a push on insurance revenue, and let's see what that results for us.
You know, I don't know, like your energy committee, right, that you have,
Yep,
that's stuff that we've never brought into the firehouse, right? I don't know, so I'm dealing, sideline, I'm dealing with this in Sunderland with the Merck grant, or however you say it.
Yep.
Right, they're coming to look to see how they can redo our town garage, fire as insulation, that stuff.
you
Well,
some
as a
pumps.
fire protection, we've never, so there might be ways that, as the town, could improve the firehouse to cut down on utilities and all that. We didn't have access to this stuff as a fire protection,
Really
you know?
interesting to task
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
energy committee to look at that.
windows
But
are
also,
Yeah.
but
Windows
also
are
being aware that we are thinking about a new firehouse, so.
Yeah.
Oh.
You have questions,
But you wanna save what you can
absolutely.
now,
Absolutely.
you know, it's
Yeah.
like,
And it makes the building more resaleable if
Yeah.
indeed we decided, or if we repurposed it for something else, so.
you know.
That's a really interesting point that and there may be things that we can do that aren't a big uplift that then could save money. And interesting, that grant that we have, that we need to spend the money, now, is it written for the specific
Yes.
buildings?
Yes.
Okay, that's my answer, that was
But-
gonna be my
but-
question.
But they might do that again, I don't know if they're
Right,
doing it again or
yeah.
not, so I think that, I can contact the chair of the Arlington Energy Committee and tell her that you guys might be interested, and I don't know if at this point it should be you, or if it should be me, in terms of getting an evaluation
I was just-
of the houses.
I was just bringing it up because that would have cost us as a protection money.
Right,
Right, that
Right.
we didn't have to put into
Right.
that.
And we may
Where
have a
now you
grant
guys have the
available.
grant ability and all that to
Right,
Yeah.
do that.
right, and see, that's something that
Certainly could be
BCRC,
assessed.
BCRC helped us get that grant and is helping us administer that grant. So if something similar is available that we could use for the firehouses, we could do that, and then
Yeah.
that would.
Cause then we're
that
cutting
would-
down our energy, which
I would
helps with
say
everything.
like first quarter of next year, we investigate, and whether that's the energy committee taking a look to start, or I don't know how, but, you know, I think we need to get through town meeting, and then after.
Just
the-
ideas.
So beginning of second quarter, like, would be a really good time to visit that.
All right. Any other business to be brought before the board? I'll entertain a
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion made by Matt, and seconded by Jamie. We are adjourned. Thanks, everyone.
I appreciate your hard work on that,